promised her mom she would never sneak out again, but the very next day she went missing, and I think we know who did it. Her name is Kayla Berg, and what happened to her still haunts everyone who hears it. That night, Kayla told her mom that she was staying at her friend Natasha's house, but that wasn't the plan, not even close. They wanted to go to a party, one with older boys, drinks, and everything that their parents would have said no to. So they pulled the oldest trick out of the book. Kayla told her mom she was staying at Natasha. Natasha told her mom she was staying at Kayla's, and it worked. The girls made it to the party, but what makes this worse is Kayla didn't have a phone, so when she didn't make it home that night, nobody could reach her. It's now the next morning, and Kayla's mom, Hope, is calling everyone. She calls Natasha's mom, and that's when it both hits them. They've been lied to, and both their daughters are missing. Hope files a missing persons report immediately, but later that same day, Kayla walks straight through the front door saying that she lost track of time. I mean, her mom is obviously furious, but she's a mother first, so all she can do is be thankful that her daughter is alive and safe. So she made Kayla promise to never sneak out again, but the next day, she disappears, except this time, nobody would ever see Kayla alive again. That day, she went to go visit her father, James. Quick backstory, her parents are separated and her father is battling cancer. It was a lot for her to handle, so she made sure to check in with him from time to time. At around 8:30 p.m., a man named Kevin, who's 24 by the way, picks her up. She kisses her dad goodbye and gets into his car. Now, Kevin isn't just some stranger. I mean, he is 24 years old hanging with a 15-year-old, but he's basically part of the family. At 9:30 p.m., Kayla stops by McDonald's to visit her friend Beth, who's working night shift. Beth remembers it like it was yesterday. She says that Kayla pulled up in Kevin's Jeep, but only Kayla came inside. She told Beth that she was planning to hang out with Kevin and that she would call her after shift, but that call never came, and that was the last time anyone ever saw Kayla alive again. The next morning, Kayla's dad realizes that she's never come home yet, and at first he's just thinking, oh, she's pulling that same stunt from the night before, but then hours go by, and that's when panic starts settling in. He calls Kevin, and his answer only made things worse. He says he dropped Kayla off, but doesn't remember where, he doesn't know the address, and he doesn't know the friend's name. Tell me that doesn't sound suspicious. Later that day, James calls Hope, but she doesn't answer, so he leaves a message, and the next day, Hope hears that message, but this time her gut was screaming that something was seriously wrong. She starts her own research, asking anyone and everyone who might know who this mysterious friend was. She calls Kevin, but he doesn't answer, and then hours later, he sends a text message. Yes, a text message. Not a phone call, a text. He says his phone was dead and sticks to the same story that he told Kayla's dad. That he dropped her off at a house that was dark, no lights on, and doesn't know the address. Days pass, and Kayla still isn't home, so her mom has no choice once again to report her missing. At first, police listed her as an endangered runaway, but as more time passes, things just stop making sense. Kevin's story kept changing. At first, he's like, I don't remember where she went. I don't remember. But then afterwards, he was like, wait, actually, I dropped her off at her ex-boyfriend Miguel's house. Except Miguel didn't live there, and Kayla knew that. The house was abandoned. They weren't even dating anymore, so why would she ask to be dropped off there? Police checked Kevin's location, and guess what? It was either dead, turned off, or not working the entire time he was with Kayla. So there's literally zero proof that he took her to that house. How convenient for him. Police search his house, his car, his phone records. They find things, but nothing that leads to Kayla. Kevin tells police he went straight home that night. His mom backs up his alibi, obviously, but beyond that, there's nothing to actually support it. And when police start pressing him harder, he lawyers up. They tried hitting him with minor charges like reckless driving and endangering a minor, hoping that he would crack under the pressure, but Kevin pled not guilty and those charges were dismissed. Police knew he was hiding something, but they couldn't prove it, so they shifted their focus to Miguel, and he didn't help either. They say he never reached out to the family, he never helped search for her, and Kayla's mom said that she found that very odd of him. Unfortunately, the case went cold for years until 2016. This really creepy video titled Hi Walter started going viral. A man in the video starts talking about meeting a girl at the mall, and in the background there's a girl tied up in the room behind him. The internet exploded saying that she looked just like Kayla, and it was so convincing that even the FBI started investigating it. But the video turned out to be fake. The girl was an actor, and that false hope nearly broke Kayla's family all over again. But they did say if there was one good thing that came out of that, it was the fact that more people learned Kayla's name. To this day, Kayla is still missing and we don't know what happened. But if you ask her family, they'll tell you exactly who they think knows the truth, and his name is Kevin. But what do you guys think happened? Is Kevin actually hiding something, or is he an innocent man that just so happened to see her last?
I feel like the men are getting more and more delusional every freaking day, okay? So I went on a date with this guy, and then as we were leaving, he was walking me to my car, and he was like, hey, do you want to come back to my place? And I was like, no, I'm full. Like, I already ate. Like, I don't need to go back to your place. The dinner was about dinner. No, there's no dinner at your house, so I'm not going. So he then texted me. I got in my car, I drove off, and as I get down the road, I get a text message saying, come on, you know what time it is. So I'm looking over my shoulder like this man about to pop out my back seats. I'm like, did he put a tracker on my car? Is he following me? Like, that was a very ominous message. So I text back and I said, yes, time for me to go home. To which he responded and said, we're grown. To which I said, of course we are. If we were children, this conversation would be inappropriate. Like, I don't understand what they mean by we're grown. Of course we are. You just asked to sleep with me. I would hope so. And then he responded and said, let's make a baby tonight. To which I thought, ew, but to which I said, question, why are poor people always trying to procreate on a whim? To which he said, who's poor? I said, I'm not saying it's you, but only one of us pulled out their Cash App card to pay for dinner. It's definitely not getting rich, boo. Excuse me, but... So he then said, I lost my credit card somewhere in my house. I'm waiting for a new one. So I said, at least it'll be easy to find in that 1-bedroom shack, because I saw it and I'm not impressed. And why would you think I would want to go in there? Slavery is over. I'm not visiting no plantation to go see no man. What is this? Okay, you don't have to live like this anymore, sir. He said, I just wanted to F, so if that's not happening, we can end this conversation. I said, conversation, the end. Then he just said, I bet if I sent you some money, you'd come. I said, try it and see. Nothing beats a failure but a try. You never know. The answer is no. It doesn't matter. Send me the money so I can block you. And honestly, it's like, this is my lucky day, right? You know what I'm saying? The 3 things that I love the most: free food, the end of stupid conversations, and money. Like, I don't know. Don't threaten me with a good time, okay? So he then says, not worth it. I said, worth it not. Because if we're going to have a dumb conversation, I'm going to give you dumb answers. Stupid conversation, stupid answers. Not worth it. You're asking me, boo. You're asking me. Actually, you're begging. You're trying to coerce me into going to that 1-bedroom shack and sitting down on your thin-ass mattress with your one pillow and your thin-ass sheet and your little rug that's slipping all over the floor with the creaky sounds, so I can sit up in there and do what exactly? Teach you about opening a real bank account? He said, you're childish as fuck. That's a turnoff. I would like to say that this is the longest ending of a conversation that I've ever had. I don't know if this is his outro or what, because he said the conversation was done a few messages ago. So anyways, he said, you're childish as fuck. That's a turnoff. I said, being that you're 78 years old, I can see how you might come to that conclusion. To which he said, I'm 39. I said, no need to lie. There's nothing wrong with being 86. To which he said, I could outperform any of the other men you're talking to on any day. To which I said, I love that you're still competitive at the age of 98. What 39-year-old do you know uses the word outperform in a casual conversation? I just don't think that comes up very much. And you're trying to convince me that you're 39? No, babe, you're 106. I don't know why you're on my phone lying like I don't have my own eyes. I have a left one and a right one. I can see what's going on here. You're a liar. Which he said, I see you're very disrespectful. I said, bye, ho. Actually, I'm just tired of it. You know what I'm saying? I got a full belly. I'm full. I'm finna go take a nap. To which he said, I have not called you out of your name. Please address me respectively. And I thought about it and I said, you're right. That was out of line. I should not have done that. So I responded. I said, excuse me, Mr. Cash App Card. I'm done with this conversation. Goodbye. And then I blocked him, so I don't know what he said after that. But I just feel like if you're going to coerce me to try to come over to your house, at least be nice about it. Like, you're going to be mean and try to get me to do something for you. But it was going to be a no either way, but at least I might have thought about it for a millimeter of a second.
My boyfriend got my little sister pregnant. Yeah, while we were dating. My little sister is 3 years younger than me, and we've always had a pretty tense relationship. And that's because she's always wanted to copy everything I do. And not just when she was really young, it still happens to this day. But she wasn't copying me in a way of like admiring me. She would copy me because she was in some kind of competition with me. Like whatever I did, she wanted to do it better. If I had an outfit, she wanted to wear the same one, but style it better. If I did an activity, she wanted to join the same one and be better at it than me. That's how it's been our entire life. And I very quickly noticed that when I started dating, she started flirting with all of my boyfriends, and not subtly. She'd be like, you know, imagine if we would have met first. Like, you probably would have been dating me. But obviously you can't because you're with my sister, but like, if you hadn't met her, right? That's weird. That's just so disrespectful. I would bring this up to her and tell her that it made me really uncomfortable and I thought that it was weird. She'd be like, oh my gosh, you're so dramatic. You're so jealous. And my parents would say the same thing. They're like, Kelsey, it's your little sister. What are you talking about? She's obviously joking. Sorry, I don't think that's funny. And I have a pretty good sense of humor, if I'm being honest. So it just got to the point that I stopped bringing the guys that I was dating around my family because it just wasn't worth the drama for me, which is really sad because I'm really close with my parents, but I knew that if we went to any family holidays, she was going to be there and it was always going to just start a fight. So I stayed away. Things changed when I started dating my most recent boyfriend because it started getting more serious. We were dating for over a year and I knew that I needed to bring him around my family because that's what you have to do. You know what I mean? Also, I stupidly thought that maybe somehow my sister had matured and wouldn't act up anymore, but I was wrong. The first time she met my boyfriend, one of the first things she said is she's like, oh my gosh, if Kels ever misbehaves or treats you wrong, just let me know. I'll fix it. I'll take care of it. Don't worry. I always have your back. I was like, this is weird. Like, this is just a weird conversation you're having. She was also just being really touchy with him, wanting to always sit by him, was grabbing his arm, laughing at all his jokes. She was flirting with him. Like, I know what flirting looks like, okay? And I know what her flirting looks like because she's my little sister and I've known her whole life. Well, I pull her aside and I'm like, yeah, we're not going to do this, okay? We're not going to continue to do this. I can't. I'm tired. You got to just be normal and stop flirting with all my boyfriends. And again, she was like, oh my gosh. I did not realize how insecure you were. Like, it's actually really sad that I'm the younger sibling and I'm just so much more confident, so much more self-assured. Like, if you were acting like this with my boyfriends, I would not be upset at all. Okay, well, you've never had a boyfriend and there's a reason for that. I'm just gonna put that out there. About a month after this initial meeting, my little sister calls me and tells me that she has amazing news and that she's actually gonna be moving states and moving to the city that my boyfriend and I live in. Great. I was so excited for that. And not only was she moving to our city, she was going to move into the same apartment complex that we lived in. Even better for me. So she moves to our city, moves into our apartment complex, and suddenly she needs help with absolutely everything. She doesn't have a car, so she needs to be driven everywhere. She needs help having everything built. She needs help with all the moving stuff. And guess who she asks for all of it? Yeah, you're right. My boyfriend. Coincidental? I think not. And it got to the point that they were hanging out and I didn't even know they were hanging out. He would get home and I'd be like, where were you? And he was like, I was with your sister. I was helping her do X, Y, Z. I was like, wait, what? What do you mean you were with my sister? Why didn't you tell me? And he's like, oh, I didn't think it was a big deal. She just needed a favor. And so I went to help out. Like, she lives in our building. No, okay? He was making it seem like it was innocent. It wasn't innocent. It gets to the point that this is the biggest issue in our relationship. We're constantly arguing about it, where I'm like, I want you to stop spending so much time with my sister because you already know the previous issues that are there. And he was like, it's your family. I'm just trying to be a good guy. I'm like, okay, sorry, your loyalty is to me and I'm asking you to establish this boundary and you won't do it and it's weird. And we were just going back and forth for weeks about it. Finally, one day, my little sister comes to my apartment while my boyfriend and I are watching a movie and she just looks so upset. I'm like, what's wrong? Like, what is going on? And that's when she tells me that she is pregnant, which I'm shocked about because she just moved to the city. I didn't know she was dating anyone. The only guy that she's been hanging out with is my boyfriend. See, at the time I didn't put that together because I thought that there was no way that he would do that to me, but yeah, just wait. But the person who was even more shocked was my boyfriend. He looked like he was about to projectile vomit. I was like, wow, they obviously have gotten really close. He is really concerned about her. And that's when I start asking her, I was like, okay, who's the father? Whose baby are you having? And she gets really quiet. She's like, oh, I don't know. Like, I don't really want to tell you. I was like, why are you being weird about this? And obviously we know why she was being weird about this. Then she starts looking at my boyfriend. She's like, I mean, like, are you going to tell her or am I? She fully came in here ready to expose him and he had no idea. It was just all going down right there in my living room. Well, I look at him. He looks absolutely sick. I'm looking at her and low-key, she's smirking a little bit. She's happy about this because, again, everything's a competition and apparently she won. She took my man. That's what she wanted this whole time. And I look at him. I'm like, no, please tell me that she's lying. She's making this up. And he can't even get any words out. I can see it on his face that, yeah, it's him. He's the father of this baby. So I absolutely lose it. I'm like, what are you even talking about? And he has the audacity to say to me, well, I know I cheated, but I only half cheated because it's your sister. You shared DNA. So it's like, it's not as bad if I was cheating with someone else. It's like, it's half cheating. No, I'm sorry. What man logic is that? I cannot, it's way worse to cheat with somebody's sibling than with a stranger. So obviously I kick him out. I'm like, you have somewhere else to sleep in the exact same building, so don't even feel bad about it. I don't want to see your face ever again. I look at my sister, I'm like, I don't want to see your face ever again either. My ex-boyfriend is now texting me 24/7, apologizing, saying it was a mistake. It only happened once, which I don't believe based on how much time they spent together. And my family keeps texting me, it's your little sister, give her grace. People make mistakes. So people make mistakes? That was not a mistake. That was a betrayal. Haven't heard anything from my little sister though. Not one text, not one apology, because she's not sorry. She very much planned for this to happen. I know it. And I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen next, but let me know if y'all want to stay updated.
Get ready with me while I tell you exactly what happened because this was crazy. I had my 9-year-old stepson and my 10-year-old niece with me. My boyfriend had us meet him at a restaurant after he got off work because he was working in the area and we decided to all go eat out together. We eat and everything's fine, and then we get in the car and we are heading home. So he is ahead of me. This is a 2-lane road, so we are in the left lane. We get to a red light and me and the kids are just jamming out, singing, having fun, and listening to music. All of a sudden, my niece, my 10-year-old niece, she looks at me and says, Jessie, this guy is staring at me and it's really freaking me out. I turned to look at the car next to us and I couldn't really see anything. I could definitely tell he was fidgeting as I kept trying to look at him. And I immediately got this really, really bad feeling in the pit of my stomach. I turn to my niece and I tell her to stop looking at him and to face me. As I say this to her, I look down to see if I have my pew-pew next to me. And of course, this is one of those days where I just completely forgot it. I was in a rush. I always keep it in my drawer at home and I just forgot to grab it. Once I realize I don't have it, I go ahead and just keep looking at him, trying to actually make eye contact with him and eyeball him, whatever I can to scare this guy off or just get a better sense of the situation at hand here. When I'm trying to look at him, all of a sudden, he pulls his car up. Keep in mind, we are still at the red light, so he just pulled up a little bit. He had some space in between him and the other car, and he pulled up. This is the first time that I actually got to see what he looked like, besides maybe just little bits of his body. And when I looked at him, he was wearing a full-on ski mask. A full-on black ski mask. His entire body was covered. I couldn't tell his skin color. I couldn't tell his eye color. I couldn't tell anything. He was wearing a black ski mask in the middle of summer. Spring, summer, spring, whatever. This was recent, so it is hot. If you are from Georgia, you know how hot it is, and you know you would not be wearing a ski mask even if you're in your car, especially if you're in your car because it's even hotter in your car. Now that I saw he was wearing a ski mask, I was terrified. Like, I knew that I was in a bad situation. But the ski mask wasn't the only thing freaking me out. It was this guy's body movement. He was acting sketchy. And he was going back and forth from looking ahead to looking at us within 3-second intervals or less. He was straight up making it obvious that he was eyeballing me and my 10-year-old niece. It was almost like he was assessing who was driving to see his chances of success for whatever he was trying to do. At this point, I am absolutely terrified. The guy just keeps fidgeting back and forth, staring at my niece, staring at me, and making these strange movements. And when I tell you I cannot see anything other than the black ski mask, and I didn't know anything that could help me tell the police anything, even if I called them. And to be honest, I didn't think about that in the moment. I should have thought about calling the police immediately. Regardless, a minute or two goes by and the light turns green. Whew, I couldn't talk while doing that. But when the light turned green, he speeds off. And this is the point where I noticed this guy doesn't have a tag. But he sped off, so I'm thinking everything's done. Everything's over. But boy, was I wrong. I honestly thought for a second I was just overthinking everything. But then I saw brake lights. And I'm not just talking about brake lights as in like he slowed down a little bit. I'm talking he went from like 60 miles per hour to about 30 miles per hour, something along those lines. And he's getting closer and closer to me again. And the worst part, he was still looking in his rear view at me and my 10-year-old niece. He was literally doing this, back and forth, looking at the road and then looking at us. My boyfriend is still ahead of us and he has no idea what's going on. I should have called him while we were at the red light. I know it was dumb, or I should have called the cops. I don't know. I just didn't want to overreact. He's still ahead of us, and I end up calling him via Siri because I didn't want to raise any alarms. At this point, the guy is getting really close to me. I'm thinking that he wants to either follow me or get next to me again to keep looking at us. I'm really not sure what his intentions were in that moment, but I know it wasn't good. So I call him and I tell him everything that just happened and tell him I'm actually really scared and I don't know what to do. He is ahead of me, so thankfully he slows down significantly to his speed, and I slow down even more, and we're all moving as slow as a bug, and my boyfriend is right next to him. So I obviously wasn't there for the exchange between them, but I got the lowdown from my boyfriend after the fact of what actually happened. From my perspective, though, all I saw was that my boyfriend was neck and neck with him, kind of like blocking the road, going really slow, like 30 miles per hour, right next to him for a good 30 to 45 seconds. Then the guy speeds off. That's all I knew at that moment. Now, let me tell you what actually happened from my boyfriend's perspective. My boyfriend pulls up next to him and starts looking at him without him even noticing. And he can see that he is actively, obsessively looking through his rearview mirror at us both, and just trying to slow down to get to us is what it looked like. Of course, well, this is speculation, of course, but he was obsessively looking at us regardless. My boyfriend is staring at him at this point. He's staring at him, looking back and forth, kind of like he is, but to him. And the guy ends up locking eyes, seeing that my boyfriend is staring at him. He had no idea at this point that we were together, though. He's just thinking this guy's looking at him. So they look at each other for a couple of seconds, and apparently my boyfriend said something to him along the lines of, "Do you have any business with the car behind me?" The guy just stares at my boyfriend for a couple seconds, and they're locking eyes with each other, and then throws up a peace sign at him. Because the guy was not responding to my boyfriend's question and it was just acting like a fool, still obsessively looking at us, my boyfriend pulled out chambered it and put it on the console as he watched him do it. Like, this guy is watching my boyfriend pull it out, chamber it, and look back at him with in his hand. Apparently the guy sees this, kept looking at Eric for a second, looked down at it, and looked back up and was like, nodded at him, and then just sped off. I'm talking, this guy went from 30 miles per hour going neck and neck with my boyfriend, trying to catch back up with us or slow back down to our level, to speeding 70, 80 miles per hour on a 55. He had no tag. We thought about calling the cops, but we had no proof of anything. I mean, we didn't take any photos. I mean, it was so quick. This was like a 3-minute interaction. After the guy drove away, we stayed pretty far behind because he hadn't turned off yet. Finally, a turn came and he turned off the road. He went on the first turn that he could. My only regret that day is I didn't call the cops. Like, this guy didn't have a tag. He's wearing a ski mask in the summer, spring, whatever. It's hot as balls in Georgia. Not only that, but he was up to no good. Like, the feeling that I had, what he was acting like, he was tweaking. He was acting so weird. He was definitely looking for somebody to do something to. This was not just like a random thing. He was looking for the right people. There's so much trafficking going on. There's so much abuse of women, children, things happening, pedophiles. I mean, literally, there's so many things that women have to look out for, and this is one of them. You are not even safe in your own car. You need to be careful in looking around you at all times. I am just so thankful that Eric was there that day, because if he wasn't, that could have turned out a lot different. I am constantly thinking about what he was trying to do when he slowed down to the extent that he did, trying to get next to me, behind me, whatever it was. I'm trying to think about if I had called Eric sooner, or if I had never called him, what would have happened? If he was not there, what would have happened?
My boyfriend of 5 years cheated on me, left me for another girl, and now he's back, so this is how I'm planning to get revenge on him. We have known each other since we were 5 years old, but we've only been in a relationship for 5 years, and last November, he all of a sudden says that he wants to break up with me because he fell in love with someone else. So when he told me this, I am absolutely devastated, as you can imagine, but I'm definitely not the one to chase. So I tried to act really cold, even though I was absolutely broken inside, and I was like, okay, it's your decision. I'm gonna move out. Don't even worry about that. When they say they always come back, they mean it. I didn't think this was gonna be this fast, but 2 months ago, he all of a sudden reaches out and says that he misses me. I hated him, and I hate him so much that I was like, okay, this is the perfect time to get a revenge. Little does he know that I'm saving $500 on his dime every month until I eventually leave him. Little does he know that I created a fake Snapchat and added his father, and now his father is cheating on his mother with my fake profile. I mean, I usually don't like to get family involved, but the truth is that his mother took his side and said that it was my fault that he left me because I was such a bad girlfriend. But wouldn't it be ironic? Because if I'm at fault for her son cheating, then she's at fault for her husband cheating on her too. Little does he know, I spoke to my rental manager and signed a contract to leave this apartment we're in, which is in my name, in December. The same week he'll be gone on a work trip. Won't it be funny when he comes back from that work trip? Locks are switched, his girlfriend's missing, his stuff in the dumpster, and nowhere to live. Oh, and did I mention that his dream car is actually in my name because at the time he bought it, I had better credit score. Don't worry, I've already started the process of selling it and it'll be towed to California in the same week he'll be gone on the work trip. I'm planning all this ahead, so in December, when he comes back from his work trip, he's not gonna have his car, he's not gonna have his apartment, and he's not gonna have his girlfriend. He thought he could cheat on me, leave me for another girl, and then come back because that didn't work out without any consequences.
I had the most terrifying experience in a hotel room last night / this morning, and this is just your friendly reminder, ladies, girls, if you are someone who travels alone for work or leisure, whatever it may be, do not ever skip a step in your hotel room security safety checklist. Last night I checked into a hotel room in Dallas, Texas, and whenever I got to the room, I did everything that you're supposed to do. I did a sweep of the room, I made sure there was no one hiding in the closet, behind the shower curtain, behind the actual curtains, looked for cameras, the whole bit, and everything was good. I had a great night. I double-bolted the door before I went to bed and whenever I got into the room, and had a great night's sleep. All was well. This morning I woke up around 6 a.m. I headed down to the lobby, so I left my room and grabbed a quick breakfast and brought that back up to the room just so I could grab a quick bite before I started getting ready for the day. So I ate breakfast really quickly in my room and then hopped in the shower. And the number one mistake I made from what happened is the only thing I can imagine is I did not deadbolt the door back whenever I got back to my room with the breakfast. But like I said, it was around 6:15 at that time, so I'm still kind of half asleep, half waking up. I'm thinking about all the things I need to get done today, everything going on, and I'm just sidetracked. I have no bad gut feelings that anything bad's gonna happen. I don't feel uneasy at all. So I hop in the shower and just go about my day. While I'm in the shower, I hear a hotel phone ring. And I'm like, huh, that's weird. It's like 6:20 maybe at this point. That's a little early for the hotel room to be calling. So I'm like, is that my phone? Is that the hotel? Like, what's going on? So I jump out of the shower real quick and then I don't hear the phone ring anymore. I'm like, okay, that's weird. Then I kind of talk myself out of it. I'm like, Lindsay, you're going crazy. Like, it's probably your neighbor's wake up call or something like that I was hearing. So I jump back in the shower, washing my hair, doing everything that I need to do, just going through the routine. And all of a sudden I hear like the faintest of knock and a door open and shut. And I'm like, that can't be my room, right? Like, I'm talking myself into it. And like I said, I'm in the bathroom, and luckily the bathroom has a door that closes. I'm in the shower and I'm like, I'm probably hearing my neighbor's door. That's probably what I'm hearing. That's probably what I heard whenever the phone rang. But this is when I kind of got a weird feeling. A weird feeling kind of started to happen within me. And I was like, huh, I don't have my phone on me. I don't have anything on me. I don't even have clothes. I have one towel and that's all I have. But I have a feeling that someone is in my room right now. So at this point, I do get like a pretty scary gut feeling, but I'm still trying to talk myself down. Maybe housekeeping is just like making an early run. And since I was in the shower, I have obviously no clothes. I don't have my phone on me. I don't have anything to protect myself. So I'm basically just really, really vulnerable. I opened the door of the bathroom hoping to see a housekeeper with her cart doing her rounds, but instead I see a man standing in the middle of my hotel room. From what I could tell, the man didn't have anything that said that he worked at the hotel. So whenever I saw him, I screamed and I said, "Get out." There might have been a curse word in there, but I screamed at the top of my lungs and told him to get out. That is when he jumped and he was like, "You scared me." And I said, "I scared you? Get the F out of my room." He then told me that he was with maintenance in the hotel and there was some leak in my room. I don't know. He just started talking and I blacked out and screamed again and told him, "I don't care, get the F out of my room." Like, I was freaking out. Did immediately leave after that. Thank God. I was kind of in a good position to where I could either lock myself in the bathroom door or make a run for it out of the hallway. And I think I was loud enough that people heard me. But it was just really, really freaking scary. And it's crazy that someone can just get into your room and you're so vulnerable. I had nothing. Even if I was someone who carried a gun or carried pepper spray everywhere I went to, I would have never had access to that because I was in the shower.
Get ready with me while I tell this story about my roommate from hell. So this all started like last March when my original roommate decided that staying at our college apartment wasn't a great idea for her financially anymore, since she didn't actually go to the school. She just kind of wanted the college experience. She gave me a few options for subleasers initially, but by like talking to them over text and looking at their Instagrams, I kind of didn't feel like we'd be a great fit. Until she found this one girl, I'm going to call her Vanessa, who went to the same high school as my boyfriend. She was in a sorority, so I kind of figured, like, how different could we be? So I agreed to let her move in, and I give her the keys, and that night I was packing for spring break, and then going out of town to visit my parents before leaving for my trip. But the next day when I came home, I'm a super, like, organized OCD packer, so I immediately noticed something was not right when I saw my belongings kind of, like, out of place in my suitcase. So I go over and I start, like, reorganizing everything when I start to notice that there's some stuff that is missing. I kind of started freaking out because I was living alone at that point since my original roommate already moved out. So I called my mom and I thought someone had broken in, but she told me to ask my new roommate if she had just happened to stop by while I was gone. So I shoot her a text, and then I end up sleeping at my boyfriend's house that night because I was really scared that someone had actually broken in. I was so upset because I saved up money to buy myself some nice outfits for spring break, and they were just gone. So she ends up texting back the next morning and tells me that her cousin had stopped by to drop off a backpack of stuff that she didn't want her parents to see when they're moving her in, like alcohol or whatever. So I asked her to ask her cousin if she had happened to borrow anything of mine when she stopped by, and the cousin eventually confessed to Vanessa and shot me a text saying how sorry she was, and Vanessa also, like, apologized profusely and said that she would never be allowed in our apartment again. And the cousin ended up having to drive all the way from Grand Rapids, which is about an hour and a half, to return my stuff to me that day. So I come back from spring break, and at this point she's moved in. But once I get back, I realize that more stuff is missing, so I ask her to text her cousin and see if she can return the other stuff that she borrowed from me, but she can't get a hold of her for some reason. So I kind of let it go at that point because it wasn't too much stuff. But then, a couple weeks later, my mom texts me and asked why I decided to buy myself insomnia cookies on my emergency credit card. I told her that I definitely did not buy cookies, and then I start to put the pieces together because I had seen an insomnia cookies box in our trash a couple days before, and Vanessa had started to leave her garbage bags in the stairwells of my apartment building. Don't know why, but I recruited my sweet boyfriend to help me go look through the trash to see if we could find any sort of receipt. Sure enough, we find a receipt that has the exact amount, date, and time that matches my credit card statement. So I realized that there probably was no cousin and that it was Vanessa stealing my belongings. So I ended up confronting her and let her know that I had actually filed a police report the first night that things started going missing, just to have proof in case it was something, like, I don't know, bigger than this. She confessed and she told me how sorry she was and that it would never happen again, yada yada yada. So I ended up just getting a lock on my door because obviously this girl cannot be trusted. She was literally a complete stranger to start out with, and she started stealing from me before she even moved into the apartment. So I had been in contact with the police ever since the first incident happened, so I let them know that I figured out that it was actually Vanessa, not her cousin, not a burglar, and I asked them to stop by because things were still going missing even after I got a lock on my door, and I never left my room without locking it, like even to walk down the hallway to the bathroom, I never left it unlocked. So the police come to kind of question her about it, and she denies everything, of course. But as they're leaving, they let me know that they actually did some digging and found that she was already on probation for stealing from her past 3 roommates that year, along with a convenience store on the Michigan State campus. So she had actually been kicked out of the dorms. That's why she was living in apartments. So like I said, she denies stealing anything else. She said that the first group of clothes that she stole was all that she took. But I felt like I was going nuts at this point because I could swear that more of my stuff was going missing. So my parents ended up telling me to get a motion-activated trail camera to see if anyone was picking my lock while I was gone. The camera was giving me like a little bit more peace of mind during the whole thing because surely someone wouldn't be dumb enough to steal when they're caught on camera. But I come home one day, probably like a week after I get the camera, and it's gone. So I end up calling my parents, and they're so fed up with the situation at this point that my dad just drives right up to campus to confront her and kind of get to the bottom of it. And when he gets there, he asks her about the camera, and she denies even knowing about it. And then all of a sudden we get to a point where she says, "It just fell behind your bed. I didn't take it." So once she has her little slip up, I immediately run to my room and find the camera under the bed. And while my dad runs to the store to get a deadbolt lock for my room, I decide to open the file from the camera with the pictures on my laptop to see if I caught her sneaking into my room. And sure enough, there were pictures of her picking my lock, coming into my room, taking clothes, and not to mention sitting at my vanity, butt-ass naked, other than wearing one pair of my underwear and playing with my makeup. I literally could not believe my eyes. When I opened that up and saw those pictures, I felt so violated, and at that point I was so ready to just press charges with the police because that was so gross. Even though this girl had caused me so much stress and anxiety during these 2 months, like, my goal by contacting the police was never to ruin her entire future. I honestly just wanted to make sure that she would never, ever do this to someone again, because obviously it had happened 3 times before me, and she still kept doing it. And I'd been making a list this entire time of all of my things that had gone missing, and the grand total ended up being about $1,400 worth of my stuff that she had stolen. So I handed that list along with all of the pictures over to the police and kind of let them take it from there. My dad did end up finding her dad's phone number, and he paid me back for all of the stuff and felt so bad. It made me feel awful because they had no idea that their daughter was doing this. She ended up moving out a couple days after we told her parents about the whole situation, thank goodness. And people always ask how come I didn't kick her out earlier, but it's pretty illegal to kind of send someone on their way with no place to live, so I was kind of shit out of luck up until then. So that was kind of the end of it until the legal stuff started happening, and she actually ended up having 3 lawsuits against her for stealing, including Michigan State University, who was trying to kick her out of school. But the stealing wasn't even the whole story. She would also use the restroom and not flush until the toilet was full to the brim with stuff that goes into the toilet. She would also eat all of my food, leave her own food to rot in the fridge. She would order like 12 chicken breasts and leave them in the fridge till they were moldy. And she also ended up stealing my toaster when she moved out. But that's basically it.
This girl named Michelle sent me an email, and the subject line said, "I have hands down the worst roommate story. Tell me I'm wrong." And I'm not going to tell her she's wrong, because within 5 days of her moving in with this girl tried to unalive her. She said 3 years ago she moves in with this girl. I'm not sure how they met, but I know this girl's mother was the landlord and they did not know each other well. But the first night they're there, Michelle buys them both pizza and wings, and she's trying to get to know her. They open up to each other about a lot of things, and this girl tells her that she has a history with schmugs, but that she's clean now. And Michelle's cool with this because she's like, I also have my own history, you know. She's like, no judgment over here. But then this girl also tells her that she thinks she's an undiagnosed paranoid schizophrenic. But before Michelle can even react, this girl says, yeah, I had a really harsh upbringing. My parents' divorce was really hard on me. She also tells her that she really doesn't get along with her mother, so their landlord. And she's basically just trauma dumping. Michelle's sitting there thinking, like, what did I get myself into? And then this girl tells her something even more disturbing, which is that when she was a teenager, her mother instructed her to burn down the house so they could collect the insurance money. And she did it. And then she did it, and she was really excited about doing it. And she thought she was going to make her mother proud until she realized that she lost all of her stuff too. And Michelle's like, you really burned down your house? And she's like, yeah, I did it. My mom got the insurance money and she never got caught. And so Michelle's like, I think I'm going to go to bed. She goes to bed and she's thinking, this is not going to end well. And she was right, but she did not know how bad it was going to be. Next day when Michelle wakes up, the girl's not there. She's not there the whole day, so not a bad day too. She comes home the following day with a guy that she's messing around with. Michelle comes out of her room and finds him in the living room using Seth. Not Seth. Don't use the real word in the comments. What I'm really talking about is a substance that rhymes with Seth. So Michelle's like, okay then. And she goes back in her room and she closes the door and she doesn't come out for the rest of the night. The next day comes and Michelle wakes up kind of late in the afternoon, but she has a question for her roommate. So she goes to her bedroom door and knocks. She hears music playing, so she figures she's in there. She also hears this girl's dog in there whining. So she's like, hey, knocking on the door. The girl doesn't come to the door. She's like, hey, and she tries to open the door because the dog's whining, and she's like, maybe the dog has to go out, and the door's locked. So she knows she's in there. The girl still doesn't come out. She's like, I don't know what's going on. So a little while later, she's in the kitchen when 2 random guys walk in. One guy's random. The other guy was the guy that she was using Seth with the night before. She said she didn't know why they were there. They just walked in, didn't offer any explanation. We're just like, what's up? So Michelle says she said hi to them and then just went to her room because she was uncomfortable. A little while later, after they left, her roommate comes and knocks on her door. I guess her roommate is just making casual conversation with her, and Michelle's like, hey, what was up with earlier when I knocked on your door and your music was playing and your dog was whining and your door was locked? And her roommate's like, what are you talking about? My door wasn't locked. I was gone for 2 days. And Michelle's like, well, if you were gone for 2 days, why did that guy that you were seeing and his friend come over? And her roommate's like, what are you talking about? They were here. He left me somewhere. That's why it took me so long to get home. And then she looks at Michelle and she's like, so you know them? And Michelle's like, what are you talking about? I just moved here. I just met him the other night when you were here. And then this girl tells her that she thought about unaliving her last roommate for messing with that guy. She's like, yeah, if you mess with him, I'll find out and you. And Michelle's just like, what the? And then this girl starts pacing back and forth from room to room, and she comes back in the room with a large, sharp object. She was spinning it between her hands, and she goes, you have 5 minutes to get him over here so you can explain to me what you guys have been up to behind my back. Michelle says she was completely in fight or flight mode, but she has a lot of trauma, and as a result has a pretty good trauma response, which is just being very calm. And she tells her basically, I don't have his number, but if you give me his Facebook profile, I will contact him for you. But this girl is not hearing any of it. She accuses Michelle of putting cameras in the house so she can watch her and knows when she's asleep so that she can have the two guys come over to torture and unalive her. She also says that she planted a book in her room about torture so that the guys would know what to do when they got to her. Obviously none of this is true, but Michelle's just standing there very calmly trying to figure out how she's going to get out of this situation when all of a sudden the girl just riles herself up enough that she lunges at her with the sharp object. Michelle has pepper spray on her bedside table, so she grabs it and points it at the girl and says, get out of my room. The girl laughs at her but leaves the room, and Michelle closes the door behind her. Then she can still hear the girl pacing up and down outside of her bedroom, getting angrier and angrier and yelling through the closed door. She keeps screaming about her having 5 minutes to get the guy there, and she tells her if she calls the police, she'll break in there and unalive her before the police can even make it. Michelle smells gas, and she thinks about what this girl said to her the first night they spent time together, and she realizes this girl is pouring gasoline all over the house. Michelle decides at this point to text her mother and tell her that her daughter is just losing it. She then pushes her bed toward the window, and she realizes she's going to have to jump out the window in case this girl actually does set the house on fire. This girl must have heard the furniture being moved because she screams from outside the door that if she jumps out the window, she's going to be down on the ground waiting for her. The smoke detectors start going off, and she realizes she has to make a decision, which is jump out the window and potentially be faced with this girl, or stay inside and be unalived by smoke. Smoke is coming from under the door when all of a sudden she hears a man's voice from outside the door. It was the police. Thankfully, the mom had called them, and the only reason she wasn't inside when they arrived was because she was outside, sitting calmly on the front steps with a... The police took her statement and sent this girl to the psych ward. Michelle ended up signing a paper stating that when this girl was released from the psych ward, she was not allowed to buy any pew-pews. After they took this girl away, Michelle also realized that she had to give this girl's dog a bath because she had soaked the dog in gasoline also. She said she had a lot of flashbacks while telling this story, so please be kind. I'm going to tag her because she said she didn't care about being anonymous, but she said she was sharing her story because sometimes people will show you their red flags right away, and if they do, you should run.
Get ready with me for school, except today I'm breaking up with my cheating boyfriend. I've been up since probably 5 a.m. and it's 5:50 right now, but my stomach feels nervous, so I have not been able to go back to sleep. So just to give a little bit of background, I've known about this since yesterday at the point that he added her back. I knew about this the whole time. So at first he was just we're just gonna call this girl Abigail. Her name is not Abigail, but he was just hey Abigail, how are you? And she's just hey, because they used to be a thing before, so of course he's gonna want to snap her and stuff. But he was just hey Abigail, how are you? And then she was oh my gosh girl, he added me back, he's texting me, what do you want me to say? I'm gonna help you out here. If he cheats, I'm gonna tell you. I was okay, thank you. And then he was I was just tell him that you like his hair or something, because I know that he knows that he just, because he got a buzz over the summer and now he has his hair back. So I was just say that you like his hair or something. And so she did. He was thank you Abigail, I've just been growing it out, I don't even really like it that much. Now mind you, he did tell her that he had a girlfriend, and she was oh well, can we also, she was doing this all she did not mean anything. She did this all for me because she after he added her back, she wanted to catch him with me. She was just oh well, then can we just stay friends and snap as friends? And he's yeah, that's fine, but if you get on my best friends list, I'm gonna have to unadd you, but I'll add you back later. And it just went completely downhill from there. He asked her to FaceTime, and that's where I finally was oh my god, he's gonna cheat on me. Then he sent her a picture of his legs and was you question mark? And then he started asking her for pictures, example, let me see it. And I have a feeling, a small feeling, he's gonna try to tell me that this was not cheating. Also, I just want to throw that in there. Anyways, I then gave her full permission. I was girl, get just do whatever you want, because at this point it's gone too far, and so you might as well just keep it going. So then it did, as a matter of fact, to keep going. He sent her his abs pictures, and that's where I really lost it and started having a full-on mental breakdown. Then she had to go to practice, so she was like, I gotta go, and he was like, all right, hurry, I want to see you. Then later she got back, and he hung up on me and was like, I was upset, I was crying, but I just told him I had had a bad day. But no, it was because I knew about him cheating on me. But he was like, all right, I'll just leave you alone. If you want to be alone, that's okay. You can just spend this night alone. Like, okay. Yeah, then whenever they were on FaceTime, I did get a screen recording of it. He's like laughing, and he's just like and like has his shirt off, and of course he has like muscles, so like his arms up just to like show his like muscles. And this whole time I'm like losing it. I'm like freaking out. I'm like, I cannot believe that he would do this. Like, this is so messed up. And he started telling her, sorry, I'm looking for my Aquaphor, but then he started telling her that what they had over the summer, which was just snapping back and forth, was the favorite thing that he's ever had. Then he starts making a second Snap account, and she tells me about it, but he made a second Snap account so that I wouldn't see it. Now here's like the end of it, but he was like, Abigail, you're so hot. Like, we really need to hang out. I just want to make you feel good. I'm just like really turned on right now. And then he unadded her, so I'm guessing he's just gonna unadd her for the night, and then probably, or for the day, and then probably just add her back at night so I won't see it. But little does he know, he won't have to do that because I'm gonna break up with him. But I may not seem affected now, but honestly, I really loved this man, and I'm really sad that this is happening because I honestly did not want to break up. I even considered not breaking up even after I found out that he cheated me, but I would just never be able to trust him again. So, ladies and gents, this is your sign to not cheat. Don't cheat on your significant other, because I'm just saying people find out everything, and I'm glad that this happened because I'm guessing he's doing this with about 5 other girls right now. I have a plan for how I'm going to break up with him, and that includes taking a video, so let me know if you want to see that. I'll probably post it on my spam for sure, but I don't know about on this account. But if you're still watching, you're a real one, and I'm going to post an update tomorrow.